What's up, real ones? Welcome back to the Relationship Podcast. We're bringing the real back to relationships.
Yes, sir.
I'm Asha Still.
And I'm Devin Still.
And we're so excited that you guys are tuning in today with us.
Yeah, we got a real good topic for y'all today. I think it's a very controversial, a sensitive topic, but it definitely needs to be talked about because we talk about the real stuff on this podcast. But before we jump into the topic of the day, we have a few announcements we want to make. Of course, last episode, we talked about how we wanted to start a couples devotional Bible study, which was supposed to start tomorrow, August 27th. But due to us being in Houston and Hurricane Laura approaching pretty soon, we're not sure if we're going to be able to go through with it. We have to see how we're impacted by the hurricane. But we're going to keep you updated. So make sure that you follow us on our social media, Relationships Podcast on Instagram, and we'll give you guys a heads up in case we have to postpone it. Hopefully we don't and we can go through with it, but we just wanted to notify you all in case we do.
Yeah. Also, you guys, we appreciate all the love and support that we've been getting. We just ask that you continue to go rate and review the podcast. I think we made it to 16 on the charts.
16 in the world.
Because of y'all.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it. We just ask that y'all help us to get up to like top 3, right?
Number one.
I'll
take number 1. I'll settle for number 1. Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, let's get to number 1. So yeah, make sure you guys are on there rating and reviewing because we appreciate y'all. We appreciate the feedback and the support.
And when we say rate, we mean 5-star. Not 4, not 3, not 2. Definitely not 1. We need that 5-star. But we just really appreciate y'all support and,
yes,
y'all helping promote the podcast. Next, we have a message from a real one that we wanted to share with you guys because we always tell you if you have questions or things that you want us to discuss on the podcast, you can send us a DM or you can send us an email at questions@realationshipspodcast.com. So right now we're going to jump into one of the messages we got from a real one. She says, been married for 7 years and this quarantine life for our relationship has been rough. Our normal schedule consists of him working 2 full-time jobs and me seeing him for an hour or so before he goes to sleep that has to be at his other job. Since quarantine, we're in each other's space 24/7. It drives him crazy because I want to be affectionate while he's home. We have been distant lately with one another with little to no sex. We had a conversation 2 nights ago, which was good, but it made us realize we don't want the same thing. He said he enjoyed when we was just friends with benefits because he was free. Now that we're married with 3 kids, I can't give him that. So it's just awkward in the house knowing that he's not happy with us. He's a great dad and provider, but I need a partner that desires to be with me. Help.
Ooh,
that's tough.
That's heavy.
That's tough. You want to take this or you want me to?
I mean, you can go ahead and start off.
Yeah, I start off. That's tough. I mean, when I listen to that message, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, especially with everything going on with quarantine and being in your partner's space 24/7, like she said. I don't think that quarantine is causing a lot of problems in relationships. I think it's revealing them. Because when I listen to your message specifically, I feel like y'all have been distanced for a while.
Right, yeah.
And maybe you've been able to blame it on him working all the time for that to be the reason, why y'all have been distanced. But now that y'all in each other's space 24/7 and there's still that distance there, it's making you realize that it's much deeper than that.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So it makes you face the problems in your marriage head on right now where you didn't have to do it before. And I'm pretty sure you're not alone with this. A lot of people are dealing with having to face some real issues in their marriage because now that you're stuck in the house with your partner, you really have to look things in the face and see, what your marriage really is.
Yeah. I think the point that kind of like rubbed me the wrong way is just feeling like you want to go back to being friends with benefits, right? Especially 7 years in, 3 children. It's like you put a lot into that marriage. You put a lot into that relationship. And to want to go back to something where it was just like, oh, we were just pretty much like a fling. It was just like, oh, we were just doing whatever we were doing. It says a lot about where your mind state is at, pretty much. Like where you're at within that relationship. And it's just like, that's not healthy and productive for his wife nor his family because you're sitting up there wanting something that you know is completely far-fetched and just out of the question. Like, so it's just like, to me, I don't really see how that could possibly work with him having that mind state.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that too, and know that when I'm speaking, and hopefully your husband is listening. Maybe there's other guys out there that are in the same situation. When I give my advice, I want to make sure that you guys know that it's coming from a place of love, right? Because I feel like a lot of the times where you see men in this relationship space, they do a lot of lifting women up and tearing men down. And men have a lot of pride. So when they feel like they're being talked down on, they shut down. Right. And they don't really listen. They don't accept the advice, so they don't get better while we're constantly building the women up. We're not building men up to be able to meet them at the same level that they're at. So I want to make sure in this podcast that I'm not talking down on the men up there, but I'm actually trying to uplift you and hold you guys accountable, just like I expect y'all to hold me accountable, because I feel like there's a lot of accountability missing amongst men in relationships. But I want to create a community where, we have that accountability amongst us men and we help uplift each other. So I just want you to know I'm coming from a place of love. But you really got to ask yourself, man, like, what are you doing? Just straight up, like, what are you doing? Because you talk about wanting your freedom. And I think a lot of men go through this where they just want to be free, like they were before they was in a relationship. So let's just say that you decide to leave, to move on so that you can have that freedom. What does that do to your wife and what does that do to your kids? You get your freedom, but she doesn't get any freedom because now she has 3 kids that she has to look out for 24/7. So she loses her freedom. And then the amount of stress that comes with it, because I know there's a lot of strong women out there that hold it down, that can do that, right? But the amount of stress that comes with trying to provide and live your life and raise 3 kids, who do you think is going to be impacted by that?
Yeah.
The kids. The kids are going to suffer because they don't have their mom there for them when they need them, because she's out working, she's out there grinding, trying to provide for her kids while you out there worried about your freedom. Like, if you wanted freedom, you should have thought about that before you laid down and had 3 kids, right? You should have thought about that before you decided to make a promise before God to spend the rest of your life with your wife.
Right.
Like, if you have an issue, a lot of times as men, we don't talk about our issues. We run from the issues. The easiest way to do is just to leave, right? Instead of looking at head on and trying to face the problems that we're going through. So man to man, I would say if you have issues with your marriage, to sit down and talk with your wife. Let her know some of the things that you have a problem with. Give her a chance to work on it. Give yourself a chance to work on it, but don't walk away because you want freedom, you want friends with benefits. That's just crazy to me, man. You got to man up and handle your business. Be there for your wife, be there for your kids, and handle your business.
Yeah. Ooh, so before we get into the topic, we want to kind of have a little segment where we're just keeping it real with you guys, where we're discussing whether it's current events or just what's on our hearts, on our mind. So today, for our just keeping it real moment, we actually saw a post. I want to say it was on the Shade Room, right? Or you saw the post, because if you guys follow us on social media, you know he's a Shade Room addict, okay?
I'm not an addict. I just chime in when it's something to do about relationships. It's called promotion.
Yeah, it's promotion. He's the Shade Room promoter, okay? So you'll see him on there. But it was actually a post that was, what was it about?
It was about Seahawks rookie. You know, Seahawks that NFL players who don't know what the Seahawks is. It was a player in the NFL, rookie, who got caught sneaking a girl into the hotel. And which was the funniest thing about that post was he had her dress up like a like a football player. So she must have been wearing all Seahawks gear.
Which would be so obvious, though.
Yeah, crazy. She must have had a hoodie or something and put the hoodie on. Yeah. I don't know. But he tried to sneak her in there as a football player, but he ended up getting caught and getting cut. And I had commented on that post and was like, Asha should have gave her a couple of tips, because there's a lot of times, Asha got away with sneaking into our hotels. And a lot of people asked us to talk about that on our podcast. So we figured for our first Just Keep It Real segment, we're going to talk about Asha sneaking into hotel rooms.
Yes, embarrassing. But all I would say is it was times, I forget the one time where we was at, but it was one particular time I remember. And he was staying in a hotel. Was it in Cincinnati?
It was in Cincinnati. It was in Kentucky.
I think it was in Ludlow, Kentucky. And so he wanted me to come up there and stay with him. And I was
get lonely. Hold on. First, let me touch it. Listen, you had to understand. Like, I understand where the rookie was coming from, but right now with this pandemic going on, you tripping because you putting a lot of people at risk and danger for doing that. But you know, when I was playing, we wasn't on no quarantine. And when you were in training camp amongst 80 men every single day, sometimes you need that woman touch, that woman feel, that woman smell. So there were times where, you know, I wanted to see my lady. And we had to do what we
I
had
had been there before. We had a time before where like I had went there, but I didn't actually stay there, right? I just came in the room because you're not allowed on that floor at all. I don't think anybody's allowed on the floor but the team. So we had got away with it before. You know, when you get away with something, you just want to try your luck again. So we tried it again. And when I tell you, I was so nervous because this time it wasn't just, oh, I'm coming into the room. You know, we just going chit chat. We going whatever. Yeah. Be there for like a few hours. It was no, he wanted me to stay overnight.
Yeah.
And mind you.
That causes a problem because they do security checks.
Yes.
They do room checks, like the coaches and the security for the team. They'll come knock on your door at nighttime to make sure that you're in your room, to make sure that nobody else is in your room. Yes. And we still tried to pull it off.
But they definitely did a security check, right? And so I'm literally like, it's the bed right there and it's like close to the wall. So I lay underneath the damn bed. Excuse my language. I lay under the bed. Like, and you know when you in a hotel room, they don't really have like an opening where you can actually slide under the bed. So it's like a wood plank that stops.
Stuck in between the wall
so
and
like
the bed.
It's a wall and a wood plank, and I'm trying to like be invisible, like so like
probably not even breathing
to the wood plank, like I'm not even there, and I'm trying not to breathe. Man. I'm trying to make no noise because they literally came into the room.
Oh yeah, they don't just knock on the door and look, like they come in your room.
Yes, they came in the room, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I see feet, I hear voices, they sound like they're getting closer. I'm sweating, my stomach is bubbling. I'm so nervous right now. I feel like a little kid, like trying to sneak into somebody's room, and my parents getting caught or something. So thankfully they didn't find me. Okay. And after that, I don't think I even did that again after that because I was just too petrified.
She was too scared. But we didn't do that. That was during training camp. But there's a lot of other times where, you know, we'll be at away games. Yeah. And, you know, we'll be at a hotel. And again, you're not allowed to, you know, have people on that floor or you can't be going to other people's room. But one thing that I will always do with Asha is I'll find out, you know, what hotel we're staying at, what room I'm going to be in, and then hopefully I'll be at a room that's by like the exit stairwell, and I'll put her room right underneath my room so that whenever they do the bed check or I wake up in the morning, I can hurry up and go down to her room since it's easy access with the exit doors. But listen, to all my fellas out there that's playing right now, it ain't worth it. No. Don't do it. No. Because she was like, she was scared as I don't know what, and you know, hopefully the guy who, you know, got cut from the Seahawks ends up finding another job because you're young. Sometimes you learn from vets. I learned from vets. That's how I learned that, you know, we can make this happen. Yeah. But it ain't really worth throwing your hopes and dreams away from, you know, because you probably went through a lot in order to make it to the NFL. So don't just throw it out the window for that. But those were a lot of fun days we went through. Yeah, we can laugh about it now, but it's no joke. So why would you make me do that, Debbie? You didn't tell me they come all the way in the room. Yeah, but that strips the fun away from if I tell you everything that goes on. You know, sometimes you gotta live life on the edge. Yeah, I'm not trying to live on the edge like that no more. We ain't got to no more. But yeah, so that was our keeping it real moment. So getting into today's topic, right? Because you feel like it's a little, you know, controversy. I don't feel like it's controversial. When I was doing my research, you feel like everybody was saying it's controversial, but I mean, life is controversial. We all have our own opinions, and you shouldn't be afraid to talk about your opinion, because I'm gonna give you my opinion today.
Yeah. So today's topic, we are discussing cohabitating before marriage, right?
Tough. Should you live with your partner before you get married? And like I said, when I was doing some research for this podcast, I came across a lot of interesting facts. One statistic that stood out to me was it saying that studies have found that people who live together before marriage are 50% more likely to end up in divorce.
Really?
Did you know that?
No.
It's crazy.
I wouldn't even thought that, though.
It's crazy. Sometimes I don't even know where they get these numbers from, like who's the sample pool that they use in order to come up with these statistics, but it seemed legit. Like, it was a lot of articles, a lot of research findings out there that said that you're more likely to get divorced if you live together, which is pretty crazy, which is why we decided that we wanted to talk about this topic, because I honestly believe there's no right answer to this.
Yeah.
That is based off of, somebody's preference, or based off of your situation, whether you live together or not. I think there's a lot of, benefits, positives and negatives on both ends of, living together before you get married or not living together before you get married.
Yeah.
But I know we can talk about our situation and, how you end up intruding into my life early.
Yeah. Well, I know just like from a female standpoint, I know like growing up, like my family members or mom or grandmama or whoever will always be like, don't be shacking up with no man unless, he is trying to, marry you or take you serious or whatever the case may be. But in my mind, like you said, my opinion of it, I just didn't really necessarily think it was that serious going into our relationship. And also, we were very young, so.
Yeah. Man, I think, give some women some tips out here about men. I think that one of the negatives, let's just say that y'all not engaged, right? Mm-hmm. One of the negatives of moving in with a man before you're engaged, before you're married, is they get to have the milk without buying the cow. Okay. You know what I mean? They get everything that a wife can produce
without having to have the commitment.
Without having the commitment of making you their wife.
That's true.
So if you're doing everything around the house that a wife would do, what is the point of me? Not me, but men. What is the point of a man making you their wife if you already taking on the responsibilities of a wife, which can get really dangerous? So then they prolong the whole commitment thing.
That's true.
When you're already living with them.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into our story first, because I feel like we can just talk for hours about this topic, because I have so much to say. So give your perspective, because like I said, I feel like we have two different perspectives.
Yeah, I bet we do have two different perspectives.
So give your
she
side.
Ain't gonna keep it real, but
give your
I'm
side
gonna
of the
keep it
story.
real. So, my second year in the NFL, obviously I met Asha when I got drafted. So my second year in the NFL, I've known Asha for 2 years. We were official for 1 year, right? Do we agree on that?
Okay.
No.
We never agree on that, but okay.
Do we agree on that?
For now.
All right. So we were official for 1 year. We were dating for 1 year, and that's how you get 2 years.
We were dating for 2 years.
No, what?
Okay, go
You
ahead.
were my girl for 1 year.
Okay.
So during this off season, I ended up having back surgery. And all my off seasons, I always went back to Delaware instead of going to Miami or traveling around, because Leah lived in Delaware and I wanted to be around her for the off season. And my girl was in Delaware, so it was a win-win situation for me. But I decided to get an apartment for the off season. And the off season lasts for about 6 months before I had to go back out to Cincinnati to train. So I take Asha with me to look at different apartments that I was thinking about renting out for this 6-month time period. Okay. And what was you was with your grandmom at this point?
I I don't even remember, to be
Neither do I.
honest.
Just know she wasn't living with me.
No, I had a roommate. I was with my roommate.
Probably. I don't remember that. That's not the important part. But I get the apartment, and, you know, she comes over the first night, you know, comes over the second night, and I'm enjoying my time with Asha. You know, I love the girl. She's great company. And then I give her a key because, you know, I had 2 keys, and sometimes I wasn't going to be there when she got off work, so I was just going to let her have a key to the house. And then one day I came home, and she's just, I look in the closet, all her stuff's in there.
Not all my stuff.
All her stuff was in there. She had, like, what are those things called?
It was
Tupperware.
It was a tote.
A tote. She had like 3 or 4 totes in the closet with all her stuff.
No, it wasn't. You are hyping it up. No, I'm not. You're definitely hyping it up.
No. So Jill, tell your story.
So, okay. So all you said at the beginning sounds about right. But like you said, if you give me a key, and ladies, you can, or fellas, whoever, if you get a key, that's an open door policy. That means your casa is su casa. Like, that's both of our home.
No, you still got to call.
No, I don't. And
or
that's
text.
Nope. Not at all. Not at all. And that wasn't what I was about to do. Like, no, you give me a key. Okay, well, I'm getting comfortable and I'm moving in.
But where did you come move in from?
You going to look at furniture? I'm coming with, okay,
so you
we
can
picking
help me
out furniture for our place.
We not picking out
You give me a key to our place. This is our place, our home in the meantime for the little break that you're here for, and that's what we were doing.
No.
Yeah.
This wasn't planned.
It wasn't planned. But after you gave me the key, it solidified what it was.
Whatever the case may be, we didn't talk about this. We didn't plan this. She just showed up and, you know, moved her stuff in. But it was a cool experience for me. Like I should say, I always heard people say don't play house before, you know, marriage. But obviously, Asha didn't listen to her parents when they said don't shack up.
Well,
but since it was only for 6 months, I didn't really mind it. Like I said, I enjoyed spending time with Asha. I didn't get to really see her that much when I was out in Cincinnati. So being able to see her on a full-time basis was pretty cool. But one thing that it allowed me to see was just how you were. Because when you're dating somebody, especially when you're long distance, you can choose when you see the person.
Yeah.
You choose what place you can see them, what type of environment you see them in. You can dress all up, get yourself in the best possible way, appearance before you see them. So you're most likely seeing the best version of the person when you go out on a date. But when you are living with somebody and they're in your space 24/7, you actually get to see the real them. Yeah, the raw them.
The real.
When they wake up and their eyelashes is hanging off and all that other stuff.
Never.
You never went to sleep and had an eyelash?
Never. I would never.
You get to see the rawest form of the person, which showed me early on that, okay, this is the type of woman that I can see me spending the rest of my life with, just because who she was on a 24/7 basis. And I think this was around the time that I introduced Asha to Leah, so I was able to see how she was able to, you know, interact around Leah. So it was pretty eye opening for me and good insight. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like I said, hearing when I was younger, like the whole not shacking up thing was just like, okay, the furthest thing in the back of my mind, because I was definitely not listening to that. And we were fairly new in dating. But like you said, I felt like, okay, he gave me a key. You know, you're only here for a certain amount of time. So I was taking full advantage of being with my man, you know, when he was here. And I didn't think nothing was wrong with it, just because, like I said, it was a timestamp on it, which I think is also made it like what it was. Because it was just like, I know that it's for this certain amount of time. We get to spend time together. When he's not here, he's in a completely different state. So I feel like it was great to take full advantage of it and be able to be around you and us to build that connection that we did in that amount of time that we did. So I enjoyed it. Like you said, we were building our relationship, getting to know each other, interacting, cooking meals together, like just doing like cute little couple stuff. So I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was that much of a big deal, just because, like you said, it was a time frame. I feel like if it wasn't, and it was just like, oh, we're moving in, he has a lease, he's here, then it could have been different, because we would have had to have a real conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. When we can talk about that too, because even later on, like you said, the 6 months ended, and then I ended up going back to Cincinnati. And what was it was a couple of months later after that. Oh, you must have really made an impression on me, because a couple of months after that, I got engaged.
Okay. You see?
It must have worked. Look, ladies moving. It's like, nah. But it worked, because a couple of months later, we ended up getting engaged. And she actually moved out there to Cincinnati with me. Yeah. And it was no time stamp. It was like, all right, this is the real thing.
But see, I feel like that was different in the sense, because I don't even, like he said we didn't really have a conversation. You said we didn't really have a conversation.
No, we didn't have a conversation in here.
But it's not the same. One, because, again, ladies, fellas, if you're proposing and we're getting married, like, you have what is it? What am I trying to say?
I don't know.
You possess the key, right? We'll just use the key. And once you provide that, then you can't be telling me when to go in and out that door. You, sir, provided me with that key. So, in a sense,
you ain't have a key to my house in Cincinnati, though.
But listen here, I had a ring, okay? That's even more important than a key. So, at that point, it was just like, okay, I don't want to be apart from my soon-to-be husband, my fiance. Like, come on now. Yeah. And not only that, like, that was the time when everything was going on with Leah. So it was just like, he was going to be out in Cincinnati by himself. He didn't have any family, close friends like that out there. So as your soon-to-be wife, I just felt like it was my job to be out there to, be there for you, to pretty much help you through that time, because I knew that it was going to be hard and that you needed the support. So that's how that happened.
So let's say there's a listener out there who is not in that same situation, because there was a lot that played in you moving out there the second time permanently. There was us getting engaged, and like you just mentioned, Leah had just got diagnosed, and you didn't want me to be out there in Cincinnati by myself, which I appreciate it, because I'm telling you right now, there's no way in hell I would have been able to make it out there by myself, because I was just going through a lot of stuff mentally. So having you be there for me, it meant a lot. But what about the people who are not in those situations? The people who are not engaged, and what should they do? Should they live with their partner? What are your thoughts?
So honestly, I feel like I'm the type of person where I don't like to pass judgment on people. You do what suits you, what makes you feel good, and what you want to do. It's your life. So I'm not going to be like, oh my goodness, if he doesn't propose, or if you don't have for sure like answer to where y'all about to be, then don't do it. But at the same time, you just need to be mindful, because I'll give you an example. Say you do move in, right? And y'all are, boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever. If y'all dating, y'all decide to move in, y'all don't really have a title. You're now basically, if y'all ain't signed that lease and both of y'all name on that lease, you're like at the liberty of that person. So if something goes wrong and they like get out, where you going? Yeah. Right? You got to pack all your stuff up. You got to think of stuff like that, because not everybody that goes into a situation or a relationship is all, great. So you may have, and especially when you move in, because like you said, you see the real within that person. Beforehand, it was like, oh, we were just putting on a front. You would see me, I was all done up. You were all done up. I was putting on this perfect act. You were putting on this perfect act. But now you get the real, right? Yeah. And you see the raw, and you see the vulnerable, and all the sides of me that you didn't necessarily see before. So now you have an option as to if you want to continue to deal with this person, because you're getting to see who I truly am, right? Yeah. And so in doing that, if you're not both on that lease, if y'all haven't figured out who's doing this or who's doing that, you can be out that door, and that person is just, what are you going to do, right? So you have to make sure that you're putting yourself in the right situation, just in case something is to come about like that, right?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people use the moving together as a compatibility test.
Yeah.
Let's move in to see if we're really for each other, which can cause a lot of issues. Like you said, if you don't have everything in order for yourself, because one day they can wake up like, oh, nah, this ain't for me, I'm out, or you get out. And if you don't have your finances in check, then what are you going to do? Right. If you don't have a deposit to move into a new apartment, if you don't have first month's rent, if you can't go move with your parents or something like that, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, I think that brings up a lot of issues. Second, I feel like if you're going to move in together, because like Asha said, I believe it's really up to you. I don't believe there's a right or wrong choice in this. It depends on your situation. But when you move in, before you move in with each other, you need to have an understanding of expectations. Yeah. Like, what is your partner expecting? Like, what are the roles you expect them to take on around the house? Who's going to be cooking and cleaning, taking out the trash? How are the bills going to be divided? Because that's a whole nother subject that you can talk about is, do women pay the bills, or do they take care of the house? Or do you split the bills? Do the man take on the rent and then the woman take on the utilities? Like, there's a lot of different ways that, people decide to divide up those responsibilities. So you want to make sure that those are outlined before you move into with one another, because the man can have one belief on how things should go, and the woman can have a different belief on how things should go. And if you don't talk about them, man, that can cause problems right off the bat.
Yeah, I think that's where the controversial, kind of sensitive part of the topic is, just because with that being said, ladies, if you know your man or if you don't know your man, you have to also, and I'm speaking from my perspective and my thoughts, which I feel like a lot of women should be thinking like this, is not just relying on a man to support them, right? So if y'all have a discussion where he's like, oh, I'm going to be covering the rent, or I'm going to take care of this, or I'm going to take care of that, that's cool. That's fine. But it shouldn't be expected. You still should be able to work and provide for not only yourself, but for that household, if that's what you're doing, because essentially you're shacking up, right? Yeah. Y'all trying to build a relationship together, and hopefully you plan, if you're moving in together, y'all plan to have a future. So you can't just be dependent and relying on, oh, he's just covering everything, because God forbid something like the pandemic hits, right? And now if he's out of work and he doesn't have what he needs to have to go ahead and pay for the bills, now it's like, okay, well, I was expecting him to have all of that, right? Right. Him to cover all of that. And now he don't have it. So it's like y'all have to have that discussion, like, okay, well, are y'all going to be splitting stuff? Is he going to be taking care of everything? Are you going to be contributing? Like, that's a serious conversation that you need to have, because you want to make sure that if something was to happen, that you're not SOL and if he's not being able to provide, right?
Right, yeah, because I really think it depends on each couple how they decide to split up their finances. Because I know it's been a couple times, like Asha said, I just be on the shade room, and if I see something about relationships, I just throw my 2 cents into it. And sometimes I may joke around with Asha and be like, nah, I'm going to need half of that rent money next week. And then, all the women will come at me, be like, what you mean you need half the rent money? She shouldn't be paying rent. You should be taking care of all that. And I'm like, I was just joking. But if me and Asha decided that, we were both going to go half on a mortgage, that's our business. Like, nobody should tell you how you divide up your finances and your relationship. You do whatever works for you. So I think it's very important for couples to sit down and talk about how they want to divide up responsibilities and divide up, responsibilities not only around the house, but when it comes to, taking care of bills.
Yeah, because I feel like it's not like back in the day where it's like, oh, the man bring home the check and I'm at home cooking and cleaning all day. Like, that's not how it works. So we have to be realistic. Like, you don't necessarily have to be saying, oh, I need to be providing all of this for my house, if that's what you feel like your husband or your man, whoever, is supposed to be doing. But on the same flip side, the man can help around the house. You can cook, you can clean, you can help contribute if the woman is still out there and doing whatever. So like you say, I feel like that's a conversation for each particular couple, for y'all to have that discussion to see what works for y'all. But just to be mindful of it.
Don't let people jump in y'all business telling you what you should do. Yeah. There's a lot of people that do that they tell you to do it their way, right? Just because they choose to handle their household a certain way doesn't mean that you have to do it the same. Like, you really need to sit down and find out what works for you and your partner, because what works for somebody else won't necessarily work for you guys.
Exactly.
I think another thing that you should talk about before moving in, if you decide to move in, is, pet peeves.
That's a big one.
What don't you like? Because
the do's and the don'ts of moving in, okay?
Yeah, the pet peeves.
Because you're moving into somebody's personal space and like, well, what was you saying? My pet peeve is what?
Like, she won't even share toothpaste with me, which I find so disrespectful. Like, she won't even share a tube of toothpaste with me.
No, okay.
Because
so yes.
that's one of her pet peeves is how I handle the
Yes, he disrespectful with the toothpaste. Like, it just irritates me. Okay, and I feel like it depends on the person, because I feel like I might have a little OCD.
Do you?
Little? Okay, maybe a lot.
What they used to have, True Life OCD or something?
Yeah. I may have a lot. There. But like, he'll go ahead and take the toothpaste, and I'm like, don't squeeze from the middle. Like, ew. Like, don't squeeze from the middle. Have it looking all wrinkled up. Toothpaste all over the cap. Like, that irritates. It just makes my skin crawl.
Look, it ain't here to be pretty. I just need to get the toothpaste out the tube I can brush my teeth.
Yeah, no.
At least I'm brushing my teeth.
Yeah, it's great that you're brushing your teeth, but use your own toothpaste. Even as a married couple, like, don't use my toothpaste because I can't do it.
With me. It's so crazy. Like, I remember the last time we shared a thing of toothpaste. No. Did I do this when you moved with me for the 6 months?
Yes. This is you.
No, I'm saying, but did you like start buying separate toothpastes because of that?
Yes.
Listen, y'all need to let us know in the comments if she's wrong, if she's just being extra because I don't squeeze the tube of toothpaste the way she want me to. And I think now I do it on purpose because it's like, yo, you're not about to tell me how to brush my teeth.
And it's so wasteful.
It's not wasteful because, like, when it becomes hard to get toothpaste, I learned this from my dad. So you just take it from the bottom and then you just start to roll the whole tube up so that it forces everything to come to the top.
But when you have it crumbled up,
you flatten it out first.
And then I'm good.
Listen, talk about your pet peeves, because I didn't know that she was like this, and then she came up all in my space and then started coming at me because I didn't squeeze the toothpaste right.
Yeah, so that's a big one. Just understanding what irks you, what you like. If you're like a clean, neatly person and you like stuff done a certain way, and then a person might not necessarily be like that, might throw their stuff all over the place. Like, stuff like that can really cause a couple to butt heads, and it's really not that big of a deal.
Right.
But it's like, it seems like the end of the world because y'all butting heads over throwing clothes here or whatever the case may be. So just make sure that y'all iron that stuff out because it can be detrimental to your relationship.
Yeah, I don't think that you did anything. We didn't talk about it. We probably should have. Like I said, a lot of these move-ins were unplanned, regardless of what Asha says. But we didn't really have a chance to sit down and talk about some of the things that, some of our pet peeves. And I don't think you did anything that really turned me off or anything. You was just like the perfect person.
At you being so sweet.
No, you really was. I can't think of one thing that I was just like, man, why she always doing this?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing probably besides the toothpaste was just getting used to you just putting your stuff wherever. Like I said, I feel like I'm very much like a neat freak, so I like stuff a certain type of way. So it would be times when, especially in Cincinnati, because I had way too much free time on my hands out there, I would be like color coordinating the closet, and he would come home and just grab stuff, put it on, throw stuff here, throw stuff there, and I'm like, I literally took hours to put all of the browns and tans and blacks together, and now look at this closet.
Thank you. You just made me think of a pet peeve. Like, I will put things a certain way so that I remember where they at.
And it doesn't make sense.
And she will come and just do things her way and just like put stuff all over the place, what she thinks is neat, color coordinated and all this. So when I go look for something, I be getting real irritated because I can't find it. And it's like, yo, Asha, where my stuff at? And then she'll just be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know where it's at, but it's like, yo, you the only person that could have touched it because I know I put it here. And then she act like she don't know where it's at, and then she go look for it and find it, be like, oh, I did move it.
Yeah, because I put it in a space that makes sense. Like, so.
It makes sense to who?
It makes sense to me.
See, everything, we just said everything that works for one person doesn't work for the other. Yeah. So because it makes sense to you, don't mean it makes sense to me.
Well, that's true. But since, I'm trying to get it organized, I figure, hey, just ask me where it is because I know what I organized.
Yeah, whatever.
Right?
What is something else that you think?
Look, you try to go down a whole list of things now.
Yeah, because I just got to think about it since we never had that conversation. Maybe we need to have that conversation.
No, we don't need to have it now. Another episode, we can talk about all of that. But I definitely think that's important for us to do, or for couples to have the do's and the don'ts, what you want to have going in a relationship, what irritates you, what bothers you, so that y'all are not butting heads over just silly stuff that's not that serious.
Yeah, so what's the benefit that you think of moving in before marriage besides getting to know your partner?
I feel like the benefit for me is for y'all to build a closer relationship. I feel like it's kind of like setting the foundation for your relationship because y'all can, be able to have that time to get to know the person, to get to know them inside and out because, like I said, a lot of times you put on a mask when you're going into a relationship or a situation. So being able to see that person in their vulnerable space when, they wake up, when something's bothering them, to see how they process things and how they handle things is really important because it's just like they may have a temper. You don't know nothing about the temper because you never seen them in that particular situation, right? And it's like, okay, well, how do they handle their temper? How do they handle things that, just are thrown at them and they don't know how to deal with it. So you get to see all of that when you're actually living with the person. And so being able to see them in that light is really crucial for your relationship because I think it could honestly make or break your relationship in the long run.
Yeah, and I think that if you move in together after you're engaged, it makes a seamless transition into being married, right? Because you already have things in order. You're under one roof, so you don't have to worry about, okay, we're married now, so what do I do with the apartment that I had? Which apartment do we move to? Which home do we move to? Everything's pretty much already in the flow of stuff, so it makes that transition into marriage a lot easier.
Right. Because from you saying that, I feel like a lot of times in us being, Christians or in our relationship or any, religion for that fact of the matter, a lot of people put the little stipulation on not moving in or not shacking up or not doing certain things before marriage, right? But from my perspective, like you said, I feel like, and I'm not trying to take away from that belief, but it's just like you go into your marriage and y'all haven't been in that common space together, right? And y'all haven't seen each other in a certain way, and now you going into marriage and everything's thrown at you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, this is for life, and now I'm seeing a part of this person that I didn't even know about or didn't even know that you did, and it's irritating me. And I'm just like, do I want to deal with this? And this is like that first year of marriage could be hell or it could be heaven because of something that you didn't necessarily see before, right? So I think that's for me was the biggest thing, was just being able to see you for who you really were and to get to know all of you, not just to be surprised, like, voila, here's this. And I'm just sitting up here like, what? Excuse me? I signed up for life for this? Right. So that's just my take on it. Like, I know a lot of people might feel like, they don't necessarily agree with that. They want to make sure that they do things the right way. And I'm, not doing none of that before marriage. And that's absolutely fine, to each his own. But I feel like for me personally, it gave me insight to something that I could have been an issue beforehand.
Yeah, I think I also saw that another statistic that I saw is that people who do wait until they're married to get to move in together, their divorce rate was low.
Really?
Which is surprising to me because, like you said, if I think that, you're just the greatest person in the world, that there's no issues with you, and then we move in together and it's just like, she's not who I thought she was.
Yeah.
Like, how is that going to work? But I guess that's just like the covenant of love, the covenant of marriage, where it's not like, if you're doing something I don't like, then, I'm out.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, regardless of what you do that I may not like, we're going to work through it together. we're going to overcome it. So I guess that it tests your marriage early on to see if you're willing to really overcome, you know, things in order to make your marriage work, because a lot of that stuff is not that big of a deal. You know,
it's not.
When you move in together. So if you can't overcome those small hurdles in the beginning of your relationship, it's going to pretty much tell you the future of your relationship. So I think there's a benefit. There's positive and negative to it. Like you said, you get to know the person, everything about the person, because you're in their space 24/7. But on the opposite side of things, it tests your marriage early on. So it's like, okay, if this person does do something that I don't like, can we work through this together?
Right.
Because that's the test of a strong marriage, is being able to, you know, to overcome those type of hurdles that you're going to face.
Exactly.
So, more of the story, it's up to you. Do what you believe is right for your situation, for you and your partner. There's plenty of people out there who've been able to make it work without cohabitating before marriage. And there's been plenty of people who've been able to make it work who did cohabitate before marriage. I don't know if I said that twice, but y'all get what I'm saying. Just do whatever makes you happy and fits your situation. And the biggest part about it is, like, once you do get married, to put in the work, you know, to make it last. Because there's so many times, especially right now, you're seeing quarantine get the best of people. People that you think have happy relationships are falling off. Some of the, you know, marriages you may look up to, or relationships you may look up to, are falling to pieces. And I think now is the time where you really got to put in the work, because, like I said earlier, quarantine is not messing up people's relationships. It's not causing problems. It's exposing problems.
Exactly.
So you got to sit down and really do the work, because marriage is work. It's not easy. There's no perfect playbook to this, because everybody's situation is differently, but you just really have to put in the work and, you know, hold on to that promise. Like I talked about to our real one earlier, the husband of our real one earlier. You have problems with your spouse, to sit down and work it through. The easy thing is to walk away. The hardest thing to do is to really sit there and conquer your problems. And when you took that vow when you got married, that's what you promised to do. Through sickness and health, to death do us part. So fight for what you believe in. Fight for love.
Yes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Until next time, you guys, keep it real.
Yes, sir.